Eric Andrew, Globe and Mail. Um, your party hasn't actually said what your policy towards safe injection sites will be. So you want to close this one, but will you close others? What will you do around safe injection sites across the country?
I will be closing them. We will
Simple.
close safe injection sites next to schools, playgrounds, anywhere else that they endanger the public and take lives. We will defund. By the way, they're not safe injection sites. I'm sorry. I used your dishonest language. See, you just repeat the language that is fed to you by the government. Are you a CP? Are you a CP?
CP?
Who are you with?
Globe and Mail.
You're with the Globe and Mail. You guys repeat the same language you get from the radical liberal NDP activists and bureaucracies. You call them safe. How can they be safe? You think it's safe when a bullet comes flying out of one of these sites to kill a mother in Toronto? Do you think that's safe? You think it's safe to have people using crack and heroin and cocaine next to a playground like this? You think that's safe? It's not safe.
Supervised injection sites.
They're drug dens. They're drug dens.
Yep.
And they've made everything worse. Everywhere they've been done, they've made everything worse. And I know what you'll do now. You'll now go and call the same bureaucrats who caused the chaos, and you'll call them experts. The people who caused the 400% increase in drug overdose deaths in Vancouver, you're going to call them experts. They are expert at destroying communities and ending lives, but at perpetuating their own industries, because that's what they are. They are industries that want to expand, and the only way they can continue to exist is by keeping the misery going. So they're not safe. They are unsafe injection sites. They are drug dens, and we oppose them. The Supreme Court has been very clear that these radical bureaucrats don't have the right to open these drug dens anywhere they want. The court made it clear that there are reasonable restrictions that can be placed on them, and that includes playgrounds. So I've told you my policy. I'm against the drug dens next to children's playgrounds, schools, other places where people who are vulnerable in the community live. We will defund them. There will not be a single taxpayer dollar from the Poilievre government going to drug dens. Every single penny will go to treatment and recovery services to bring our loved ones home drug-free. Thank you.
Ok, merci.
Nice try. Nice try. The Supreme Court didn't say that. See, I know what you're trying to do. The Supreme Court didn't. No, I'm giving you my answer. The Supreme Court did not say that there can be. It's okay. The Supreme Court didn't say that you can have a drug den wherever you want. It said that there are reasonable restrictions that can be placed to stop them from opening up in locations that endanger the community or where there is community opposition. That's what the Supreme Court actually said. Now, I know that wacko politicians and the Liberals and the NDP and their supporters in the media want to make it sound like there is a constitutional obligation that we allow these drug dens anywhere they want to go up.
I know, it's crazy.
That is not true.
It's not true at all.
That is the opposite of true.
Yep.
We have the power under Section 56.1 of the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act to reject these drug dens and shut them down where they endanger the public, and that's what I will do. So the question was about creating a cohabitation. This is the latest Orwellian terminology that the radical, wacko, bloc liberal politicians like Plant and Trudeau are inventing. And what they mean by that is that kids should have to cohabitate with people who are using crack, heroin, cocaine, and other hard drugs in their play parks like this. This is total wacko.
It is.
Kids should not have to cohabitate with hard drug use and crime. That's not Canada. What it is leading to is more danger and more violence. And by the way, there's an entire industry of bureaucracies and activists and politicians who are profiting from this misery and want to perpetuate it. And they are pumping more and more money into keeping it going. I will end it. My common sense plan will ban the hard drugs. It will put the money into treatment rather than into handing out narcotics. We will break the dependence on drugs, and we will bring our loved ones home drug-free. And let me just close off by quoting a local resident who describes what it's like to have this so-called cohabitation that the wacko radical mayor and prime minister are pushing. This is from Michael McKenzie, Canadian Research Chair in Child Wellbeing and Professor of Social Work and Pediatrics at the University of McGill. Before the center opened, community resistance was narrowly focused on the drug injection site. The discussion, sadly now, extends to the entire facility, risking to throw the baby out with the bathwater. There is no evidence in the literature I have read that commingling transitional housing with a supervised injection inhalation site is a prudent move in supporting recovery of those newly housed. I make no apologies because that I don't want my children seeing sex acts on the way home from school. I feel no shame in saying it is unacceptable to have people publicly masturbating or assaulting neighbors. Communities, much like the families who comprise them, can be both compassionate and set firm boundaries about unacceptable public behavior that harms people and traumatizes children. It is compassionate to demand more from politicians and the Benoit Laub Center. That's Michael McKenzie, Canada Research Chair in Child Wellbeing and Professor of Social Work and Pediatrics at the University of McGill. That sounds like common sense to me.
On va passer à la prochaine question.
Hello, Joe Bongiorno, Canadian Press. If you can answer in English and French as well. So, on the subject of NATO, why won't you commit to meeting the NATO target instead of saying you would work toward meeting the spending commitment? The difference being saying you're going to do something versus working toward or trying to do something.
I always say what I mean and mean what I say. I make promises that I can keep.
Hear, hear.
And right now we are, our country is broke after 9 years of Trudeau, who's doubled our national debt, ballooned our bureaucracy, caused the worst inflation in 40 years, driven 25% of our population into poverty and 25% of our children into hunger. So as you can imagine, I'm inheriting a dumpster fire when it comes to the budget. So every time I make a financial commitment, I'm going to make sure I've pulled out my calculator and done all the math. Because people are sick and tired of politicians just announcing that they're going to spend money without figuring out how they're going to pay for it.
Yep.
Obviously, Trudeau has demolished our military, and my common sense approach is I will cut foreign aid to dictators, terrorists, and multinational bureaucracies. I will crack down on corruption, back office bureaucracy, and procurement bungles, and I will use the savings from that to reinforce our military. We will buy equipment based on best value to make our money go further, as we did during the previous Conservative government, which re-equipped our forces rapidly, on time, and on budget to fight in Afghanistan. And I will replace the woke culture with a warrior culture so that we can get recruitment back up and running. We can recruit the next generation of soldiers, sailors, and airmen. Thank you.